Hey guys, the whispering waters of the Bermuda Triangle. Chapter 1. The calm before the silence. The sea stretched endlessly, a vast mirror of dark blue beneath the stars. The moon hung low, pale and watchful, spilling silver light across the rolling waves. On this quiet night, far from the coasts of Florida and Puerto Rico, a single vessel drifted deeper into the most mysterious waters of the Atlantic Ocean, the Bermuda Triangle. The ship was the Horizon Star, a modest but sturdy research vessel. Its hull carried salt scars from 100 journeys. Its decks echoed with the creak of old timber. The crew aboard were not tourists or casual wanderers. They were seekers of truth, drawn together by whispers of the Triangle's legend. For centuries, sailors had feared this place. Stories told of ships that vanished without a trace, planes swallowed into invisible storms, and compasses that spun like toy tops. Some blamed whirlpools, others magnetic fields, and a few spoke of portals to other worlds. But no one, not even the most daring explorer, could say with certainty what lurked in the shadow of these waters. Tonight, 6 souls had chosen to find out. Captain Elias stood at the wheel, his shoulders broad, his beard silver with age. He was a man who had sailed across hurricanes and fought tempests with steady hands. Yet even he felt the unease of the triangle. His eyes, usually sharp as a hawk's, carried a quiet shadow. By his side was Dr. Amelia Rowan, a historian of lost civilizations. Her journals were filled with maps and tales of vanished ships. She believed the Bermuda Triangle was not just a graveyard, but a gateway. Perhaps to forgotten worlds. Perhaps to secrets buried by time. Then there was Jonah, the youngest of them, not a scientist but a dreamer. He had no instruments, no research to publish. What brought him here was something deeper, a pull he could not explain, a yearning to surrender to the unknown. The others, Marcus the engineer, Sophia the navigator, and Helena the medic, filled the ship with quiet voices, laughter, and a hint of nervousness. Though their reasons for coming were different, one truth bound them together. They had stepped willingly into mystery. At first, the night was gentle. The sea rocked them with the rhythm of a lullaby. The stars blinked like scattered lanterns, and the air carried the scent of salt and distant rain. For hours, nothing stirred. It was almost easy to believe that the stories were nothing more than myths. But then, just after midnight, the ocean began to change. The wind, which had carried them, softened until it stopped. The air became heavy, pressing against their lungs. The waves slowed, as though the sea itself was holding its breath. Even the cries of gulls, the chatter of unseen creatures in a deep, faded into silence. Jonah, leaning against the railing, tilted his head. His eyes widened. "Listen," he whispered. At first, no one heard anything. The silence was so complete, so unnatural. It pressed against their ears. Then, faintly, so faint it seemed to rise from the ocean floor, they heard it. Low, endless, a vibration rather than a sound, weaving through the water, through the hull, into their very bones. The compass on deck spun once, twice, then froze, pointing not north, but downward. Amelia's breath caught. "The legends said the sea sinks before it takes something," she murmured. Captain Elias gripped the wheel tighter. "Steady," he commanded, though his voice shook. "It's just current, nothing more." But the crew knew this was no ordinary current. The sea had changed. The silence was not emptiness. It was presence. As though something vast and unseen had awakened beneath them. And so began their descent into the whispering waters of the Bermuda Triangle. When dawn finally broke, the crew expected relief, but the sunrise was not golden. The sky was pale green, the clouds tinged violet, and the horizon was gone. Instead of the familiar line where sea met sky, they saw only mist, endless swirling mist circling them like walls. The whispering waters of the Bermuda Triangle. Chapter 3. The Mist That Remembers the Horizon. Star floated inside the mist, a lone speck of wood and steel swallowed by a world that no longer resembled Earth. The fog rolled thick around them, pale and swirling, its edges glowing faintly as if lit from within. The crew stood in silence, each person gripped by the same thought. This was not the ocean they had left behind. Captain Elias gritted his teeth, gripping the wheel though it did nothing. The rudder turned, the sails strained, the engines roared when Marcus tested them. But the ship did not move forward or back. It was as if the sea had anchored them to a point invisible, immovable. Sophia kept her eyes locked on the strange horizon. She traced her sextant again, though the stars above were faint and unfamiliar, blurred by the strange green sky. Her voice trembled. The constellations. They're gone. None of them match. Amelia leaned over her shoulder, her journal open. She compared the sky with ancient charts she had copied from sailors who claimed to have passed through this place centuries ago. "These are not our stars," she murmured. "It's another sky." Jonah, still leaning at the railing, breathed in the mist. "It feels alive," he said dreamily, "like it knows us." Helena frowned and pressed a hand to his forehead, checking him like a patient. "You need rest. You haven't slept in 2 nights." But Jonah only smiled faintly. His eyes had the look of someone seeing something far away, farther than mist, farther than the sea. Then, without warning, the fog shifted. It rolled aside like curtains pulled by an unseen hand. And what lay beyond made the crew fall into silence once more. Out of the mist, shapes emerged. Ships, dozens of them. Some were old wooden galleons with sails torn to shreds, their masts cracked. Others were steamships, rusted and broken, their funnels black with time. And there, a modern yacht, gleaming white but ghostly pale, drifting without a soul aboard. They floated silently in the water, half submerged, as if preserved in glass. Some were whole, others shattered, yet all of them bore the same stillness. No crew, no sound, no movement. Amelia gasped. "These are the lost vessels." Every ship that vanished here. Elias narrowed his eyes. He had heard stories of the Ellen Austin, of Flight 19, of yachts swallowed in daylight. But to see them now, drifting like tombstones in the mist, shook even his hardened sailor's heart. The horizon star drifted slowly between them, carried by currents unseen. The crew stared in hushed awe, as though moving through a graveyard where the dead might wake at any moment. Helena whispered, "Where are their crews? Not even bones." Amelia swallowed. "Maybe they're not gone. Maybe they were taken." Marcus snorted nervously, though his eyes darted. Taken by what? Ghosts? Aliens? The sea itself? No one answered. Jonah, however, smiled faintly. His gaze lingered on one of the broken ships. A Spanish galleon half collapsed, its figurehead cracked. He whispered, "They're not gone. They're waiting." "Waiting for what?" Amelia asked. He turned to her slowly, his eyes distant. "For us." The words chilled her more than the mist. The humming sound deepened again, rolling through the water. The ships around them seemed to quiver as though stirred by the note. Lanterns on the horizon star flickered in rhythm once more, And then, from the mist ahead, came a new sound. Not a hum, but a voice. Software low, wordless, it rose and fell like a song, carried on the air, though no throat sang it. It was not human, not entirely. But it was not frightening either. It was inviting. A lullaby whispered by the sea. Jonah leaned forward as if entranced. His lips moved, shaping words none of them could understand. Helena gripped his arm. Jonah, stop, But he pulled free, stepping towards the edge of the deck. His eyes glowed faintly in the strange light. Do you hear it? He asked, voice reverent. It's calling us home. Captain Elias barked sharply, Step back, boy. But Jonah didn't move. His body swayed as if in time with the song, as though invisible hands guided him. His foot lifted onto the railing. Amelia lunged forward, grabbing him before he could step off. She pulled with all her strength, dragging him back onto the deck. He fell, gasping, blinking rapidly as though waking from a dream. I saw it, he whispered hoarsely. A doorway. Amelia knelt beside him, heart racing. A doorway? Jonah nodded weakly. The city. It's real. It's waiting for us. Marcus muttered, This is madness. But his voice lacked conviction. The horizon star drifted onward. The wall of fog thickened again, swallowing the ghost ships behind them. The humming grew louder, the song clearer, until the water itself seemed to glow faintly. Amelia stared over the edge and saw it once more. Light. Far below, faint but certain, glowed the shape of structures, towers, arches, streets, a vast city buried in the sea, its lights flickering like stars beneath waves. Her breath caught. Atlantis, she whispered. Elias scowled. That's a myth. But even as he said it, the city's lights pulsed, rising through the water in perfect rhythm with the hum. Jonah sat up, his eyes wide. Number it's not a myth. It's the heart of the triangle. And it's waiting for us. The horizon star trembled. The waters beneath them stirred, pulling the ship forward, though no sail was raised, no engine engaged. The triangle was not letting them go. It was drawing them in. The whispering waters of the Bermuda Triangle. Chapter 4. The city beneath the horizon. Star groaned as it drifted, pulled by unseen currents toward the glow beneath the sea. The water below pulsed with light, faint at first, then stronger, as though the ocean floor itself was awakening. The hum had become constant now, no longer fading or rising, steady, powerful, endless. The crew stood at the rails, staring down into the depths. The shapes grew clearer. What they had glimpsed before was no trick of the eye. There were walls beneath them, towers, streets carved in patterns that no current could form. A city. But it was not like any city they knew. The structures gleamed with impossible symmetry, too perfect, too vast. Some rose like pillars of crystal, others bent like arches woven from light itself. And though water covered it all, the buildings shone as if untouched by time. Amelia clutched her journal, her hands shaking. It can't be. Marcus gave a nervous laugh. Atlantis? Really? You can't believe that fairy tale? Amelia's voice was firm, though her heart raced. Atlantis was never a fairy tale. Plato wrote of it, ancient maps hinted at it, civilizations spoke of a great city swallowed by the sea. And now, here it is. Captain Elias spat over the side, though his face was pale. Whatever it is, it's not for us. No good comes of chasing ghosts. But the sea disagreed. The horizon star began to move faster, its bow cutting through water as though dragged. Marcus raced to the engine room, but returned wide-eyed. Engines are dead. We're still moving. Sophia gripped the railing so tightly her knuckles whitened. Something wants us there. The mist above thickened, blocking out the alien sky. The world narrowed until there was only ship and sea, and beneath the sea, the city, glowing brighter. Then the song began again. It was clearer now, no longer just hum and vibration, but voices layered one upon another. Wordless, endless, weaving into a melody that seeped into the marrow of their bones. It was both lullaby and command. Jonah closed his eyes. His lips moved in unison with the sound, whispering the same melody, though he had never heard it before. Amelia grabbed him. Jonah, stop. But his voice grew stronger, matching the song. His eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the light below. It knows me, he said, his voice dreamlike. I belong to it. Helena stepped forward, gripping his shoulders. Jonah, look at me. You don't belong to the sea. Stay with us. But Jonah only smiled. You'll see. We all belong. Suddenly the ship lurched, pitching forward. The crew stumbled, clutching ropes and rails as the horizon star tilted nose first. The ocean bubbled around them, glowing like molten glass. The ship was being pulled down. Elias roared, fighting the wheel though it did nothing. Brace yourselves. The waters churned, sucking them toward the light. The sound grew deafening, a choir of voices from below. The mist closed tight above, sealing them in a tunnel of fog and glow. And then, silence. The horizon star steadied. The sea calmed. The hum vanished. The crew staggered upright, gasping, their ears ringing. They looked around in disbelief. The ship floated on still waters, but not the same sea. The whispering waters of the Bermuda Triangle. Chapter 2. The Sea That Watches. The hum deepened. It was not loud, but steady, like the slow heartbeat of something ancient. The air itself seemed to vibrate with it. The horizon star floated in stillness, its sails hanging limp as though the ocean had swallowed the wind. Jonah leaned farther over the railing, his eyes wide, listening. He whispered, "It's beautiful." But Amelia shook her head. "Not beautiful," she corrected softly. "Dangerous." Her fingers traced the edges of an old map she carried, one that showed faded routes of ships long gone. She had studied the tales of the triangle for years. Vessels disappearing under clear skies, compasses spinning, clocks freezing. And always, always before the end, strange sounds in the water. Captain Elias lit his pipe, though the flame wavered as if the air resisted fire. He puffed once, twice, then let the smoke curl upward into the silent night. His voice was gruff. "I've sailed through storms that split the sky in two, but I've never seen the sea go dead like this." Sophia, the navigator, tapped the compass. It stayed fixed, pointing directly down. She frowned. "The needle's locked beneath us. If I didn't know better." She stopped herself, swallowing. Marcus raised his brows. "Say it." "I think it's pointing to something below," Sophia finished, her voice hushed. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Beneath them the sea was black, endless, unknowable. No lantern could pierce it, no eye could measure its depth. It was as if the ship floated on liquid shadow. Then Jonah spoke again. His tone was dreamy, almost entranced. "Do you feel it? Like the ocean is watching us?" Helena the medic stepped closer. "You need rest, Jonah. Maybe it's the night air, or too much sea." But Jonah only smiled faintly, his gaze locked on the water. "Number, it's not the sea I feel. It's something in it. Something listening." The hum rose slightly, like a response. The deck lanterns flickered, their light shrinking and swelling, as though caught in a rhythm not their own. Marcus swore under his breath and checked the generator. Power's fine. This isn't the ship. It's... He broke off, staring at the glow. The lanterns pulsed in time with the hum. On. Office on. Office, as though answering the ocean's call. A chill ran through Amelia. Not natural, she whispered. Her voice carried the weight of old legends, of sailors lost to songs they could not resist. Captain Elia slammed his palm against the wheel. Enough. We're turning back. He spun the wheel sharply, the ship groaning as the rudder shifted. But the horizon star did not turn. The sea held it, locked in place. The sails flapped weakly, though no wind stirred. Marcus dashed below deck, checking the engines. He returned moments later, pale. They're fine. But the ship, it's not moving. Like something's got hold of us. Sophia checked the stars above, her hands trembling as she used her sextant. Her voice cracked. Captain, the constellations, they're not where they should be. Elias frowned. What do you mean? They're wrong, Sophia whispered. Shifted. Like we're not in the same place anymore. Silence fell heavy over the deck. Amelia opened her journal with shaking hands, flipping to a page filled with scribbled accounts of lost crews. One line caught her eye. A testimony from a sailor rescued long ago. The stars moved above us, as though the sky itself had torn apart. Her heart pounded. Could it be true? Had they slipped into some, other place? Then Jonah gasped. His hand shot out, pointing over the railing. The crew rushed to see. Beneath them, the ocean glowed faintly. Not the reflection of the moon, but a deep light from far, far below. It shimmered like a hidden city, pulsing in time with the hum. Bioluminescence, Helena whispered, though her voice lacked conviction. No. Amelia breathed. That's too deep, too wide. That's not fish. That's, structures. The light shifted, forming faint shapes like towers or arches. For a heartbeat, it looked like the ruins of a vast city sleeping beneath the waves. Then, as quickly as it came, the glow faded, swallowed by blackness. Jonah's voice was hushed, reverent. It called to us. Elias growled. We're not here to listen to ghosts. He barked orders. Marcus, keep the engines hot. Sophia, keep plotting our course. If we can't move, we'll wait for dawn. The crew obeyed, though unease lingered in every glance. Hours stretched on. The hum never stopped. Sometimes it dipped low, like thunder rolling in the distance. Sometimes it rose high, like a note played on an unseen instrument. It was not random. It was a pattern, a language, and slowly it began to seep into their minds. Jonah whispered to himself, his lips forming words no one else could hear. Marcus swore the sound was inside his skull, echoing. Even Amelia, who prided herself on reason, felt her thoughts bending towards, but not the same sea. Above them, the sky was black, but no stars shone. Instead, a dome of shimmering green light arched across the heavens, like they were trapped beneath an enormous bubble. The air glowed faintly, and the water around them shimmered with the same eerie hue. Amelia whispered, "We've crossed into somewhere else." And then they saw it. Rising from the ocean ahead, vast and radiant, was the city itself, no longer buried beneath waves, no longer distant light. Towers of crystal and stone pierced the glowing sky. Bridges arched from spire to spire, covered in symbols that glowed like fireflies. Waterfalls of liquid light cascaded down walls, spilling into pools that rippled with impossible colors. The city was alive. Jonah fell to his knees, tears in his eyes. "Home," he whispered. Sophia shook her head, unable to look away. How can this exist? How can this still exist? Amelia's heart raced as she scribbled furiously in her journal, her hands barely able to keep up. Every wall, every carving, every detail screamed of a civilization older than history, older than memory. Helena whispered, "Where are the people?" The city stood silent. No figures walking its bridges. No voices but the fading echo of the song. It was a city of brilliance, but lifeless, or perhaps waiting. Then a ripple moved across the nearest tower, as though its surface were liquid. Light spread outward, and symbols along the walls began to glow. Amelia gasped. "It knows we're here." The horizon star drifted closer, drawn toward a vast archway that loomed over the water like the mouth of a cave. Carvings spiraled along its edge, glowing brighter as the ship neared. The water beneath them pulsed in rhythm. Elias barked, "We're not going in there. I'll be damned before I let this ship sail into a grave." But the brother did not answer him. The ship turned slowly, irresistibly, sliding toward the arch. Jonah stood, his face alight. It's not a grave. It's a doorway. The mist parted one last time, and the horizon star crossed the threshold into the city of the Bermuda Triangle. The whispering waters of the Bermuda Triangle. Chapter 5. The Doorway of Echoes. The horizon star glided beneath the archway, carried by currents that did not exist moments before. The glow of the city deepened, shimmering across the water in hues of emerald and gold. The air itself seemed thicker, alive, humming in tune with the structures around them. The crew stood silent, struck dumb by wonder and fear. Even Captain Elias, whose face had weathered a lifetime of storms, could only stare. Inside the arch, the city rose higher, towers climbing toward the dome of glowing sky. Every wall was carved with patterns, not random but deliberate, like a language older than stone. The carvings pulsed faintly, as if they were alive, or remembering. Amelia's voice trembled with awe. "This is it, Atlantis, the heart of the Bermuda Triangle." She scribbled in a journal, though her hands shook. A city preserved in a pocket of the sea. Not lost, hidden. Sophia swallowed hard. But hidden from who? And why? Jonah moved forward, his steps slow, reverent. His eyes reflected the glow like mirrors. Not hidden. Waiting. For us. Helena grabbed his arm, pulling him back. "Stop saying that. This place, whatever it is, it's not for us. Can't you feel it? It doesn't want us alive. It wants something else." Jonah shook his head. "Number E, it's calling. It's been calling for centuries. Every ship, every plane, every soul that vanished here." They were invited. The ship slowed, drifting into a vast open plaza of water, surrounded by pillars that rose like giants from the sea. Between the pillars lay a platform of crystal, flat and glowing, large enough to hold the entire fleet. The horizon star came to rest at its edge. Silence. Then light. From the center of the platform, a beam erupted, piercing upward into the dome sky. The hum returned, stronger than ever, vibrating through their bones. Symbols along the pillars blazed to life, swirling to colors never seen on Earth. The crew shielded their eyes, but Jonah stood tall, arms wide, bathed in the glow. His voice rose above the hum, speaking words not his own. A language no human tongue had spoken for millennia. Amelia clutched her journal to her chest. "He's translating it," she whispered. "Or, no, He's channeling it. Elias snarled. He's being consumed. Stop him. But Helena shook her head, her eyes wide with shock. No. Listen. He's not afraid. The sound around them shifted, the voices in the song splitting into layers, harmonies upon harmonies, as though the entire city was singing. And then shapes emerged, not human, not entirely physical. Figures rose from the glowing platform, tall and radiant, made of light and shadow. Their forms shifted like water, sometimes solid, sometimes transparent. Their eyes burned with pale fire. The crew stumbled back, terrified, but Jonah fell to his knees, weeping. "You kept it," he whispered. "You kept the memory." One of the figures extended a hand toward him. No words left its mouth, but its presence filled their minds. A voice that was not sound but thought. "Welcome, child of the surface. You have answered the call." Jonah shuddered, overcome. "Why us?" "Why now?" The answer rippled through all of them, a chorus in their skulls. The world forgets. The surface drowns in noise and war. But the memory must live. So we called, and you heard. Amelia stepped forward, trembling but unafraid. "You mean you're the ones who took the ships, the planes, the people?" The figures shimmered. "Not taken. Chosen. Preserved. The lost are not lost. They walk among us, in light, beyond time." Helena gasped. "Then they're alive?" The voice answered like a wave. "Alive, in ways you cannot yet see." The plaza glowed brighter. Visions flooded their minds. Fleets of ships resting not as wrecks but whole, their crews stepping into radiant halls. Pilots walking through archways of crystal, shedding fear as though waking from a dream. A city alive not with death, but with eternity. Sophia whispered, "It's a sanctuary." Elias gripped the railing, his jaw tight. "Number, it's a prison, a gilded cage." But Jonah rose, tears streaming down his face. "It's home, don't you see? This is where we were meant to come." The figure of light reached toward him again. One may choose. The door opens, but not all must pass. The glow of the platform shifted, opening like an iris of light. Beneath it was not water, but endless brilliance, a tunnel spiraling downward into the heart of the city. Jonah stepped toward it without hesitation. He looked back once, smiling at them. "Don't be afraid. I'll remember for you." "Jonah," Helena cried, reaching, but it was too late. He walked into the light, his form dissolving, becoming one with the glow. For a moment his silhouette shone brighter, then vanished. The hum softened. The figures faded, dissolving into mist. The platform dimmed, the light closing once more. Silence returned. The horizon star turned for home, its sails catching the wind once more. The crew sailed in silence, each lost in thought. But in the nights that followed, when the sea grew still and the stars burned bright, they swore they could hear it, faintly far below, the hum. Not threatening, not cruel, just waiting. The whispering waters of the Bermuda Triangle would never stop calling, and someday someone would answer again. The end.